Hi, this is Margo. This is Sunday, late afternoon, November the 1st, 2020. I hope everyone is doing as well as possible. I'd like to welcome you to the show today. This will be my weekly roundup that I will post on YouTube. We'll be looking at methane from CAMS and from NOAA. We'll also be looking at the Arctic sea ice and where we're at with the refreeze and earthquakes and some things from Climate Reanalyzer. So I'd like to welcome the new subscribers too. I know I've gotten some new ones in recently. And if you don't know my background, before I started reporting on methane and other abrupt climate change related things, I was doing psychic and empathic spiritual readings, and I am an empath. I was doing readings and healings, and I'm retired. Anyway, you can look on my website on my About page if you'd like to know more, but I'm retired, and so I was doing the readings, to supplement my Social Security, and I was very successful at those readings. But then I learned about abrupt climate change and irreversible abrupt climate change and near-term human extinction, and it just all made sense because I just always had a feeling that something was not quite right, but especially in the last, 10 years or so. And once I moved to the Reno area, I had forests, the favorite trees that I would go visit in the forest when I first moved here, and these were up at the Mount Rose hiking area, and I started communicating with the trees. They started giving me energy and then giving me thoughts and images and things, and so ever since then I've been very sensitive to trees and can pick up the energy and communicate with them, and I believe that they're beings of light and cosmic messengers. But I remember several years ago the trees told me goodbye and said that they were leaving because it was not going to be safe for them to be here any longer. And when they told me that, I didn't understand, and I wept and wept, and I felt abandoned. But since then we're seeing the trees dying in groves here in the Sierra Nevadas and in Nevada and California and all the way up the coast and all around the world, and the trees weren't wrong. They're leaving, and when the trees go, we can't survive. They are the lungs of the earth, and but more than that, like I said, they're beings of light and our brothers and cosmic messengers. So that's kind of my background, and so once I learned about abrupt climate change, it just all clicked. Everything started making sense, and I started delving into it. I've interviewed Dr. Guy McPherson twice, and we talked about hospice, and we talked about methane, a whole bunch of different things, and it just all made sense to me. And so since then I started doing research on my own and looking at the websites, and found out that I can figure this stuff out and report on it, and I started doing it. And my first methane video came out in April of 2018, and people loved it, and I'm hooked on looking at methane, and it is exponentially going up. So it's a real threat to what's going on here. We're reaching tipping points around on everything, and I do believe the end is near. I am also a Christian, and so I bring in the Christian viewpoint to these end times, and I think all of the abrupt climate change and the plagues and the earthquakes all play into the prophecies for the end times. And so that's kind of where I am. And then I stopped doing the readings a couple of years ago and just devote my time to doing the research and reporting. I have a Subscribe Star page where I have a few members, and I report daily over there. And if you'd like to join our small community over there, we'd love to have you. And I post pretty much daily over there. I do a daily update video, and then post other things too. And if you'd like to support my work beyond Subscribe Star, I also have a PayPal link in the description box below. So that's just a little bit of background on me. And I also empath with Mother Earth, and this is what is kind of like fueling my continued research and reporting. And a lot of times I'll have impressions or visions or even dreams about certain situations, and then I'm led to them scientifically. And so anyway, it's all interesting, and we're all students here, and the more we understand what's going on, the easier it is to prepare to let go and realize that the most important thing we can do is to prepare for exiting the planet and finish up relationships and get your spiritual house in order and get ready to go, because I think we're all going to go pretty soon. We're all going to go at different times, but it's getting closer day by day. So let's get into the show. So thanks for listening to that. We're going to start with the NOAA methane data for yesterday, the 31st. This is the 477/469 millibar reading for the METOP-1 satellite in the morning. The mean or average was 1908 parts per billion, and the high reading was 2346. In the afternoon, the mean was 1908 again. The high reading was 2532. On the METOP-2 satellite in the morning, the mean was 1889. The high reading was 2392. And in the afternoon, the mean was 1890, and the high reading was 2520. So here's the spreadsheet and the chart where I'm reporting on this weekly, and here's the data for the 31st, and up here are the means that I just called off, added up and divided by 4, and we come up with an average of 1898.75 parts per billion. So that's showing a sharp decrease over last week of 4 parts per billion. Now last week in the show we also saw that we had a spike in that week. It spiked up to 1904.25 just like it did on September the 25th. So we had 2 spikes, and now I think methane is headed down for the winter, and or at least until the end of the year. And then it'll probably start going up. It started going up this year in January, and then went down, and then it's been like a steady kind of coming up starting in February. But last year it we spiked out. The peak was 1885.75. That was on October the 12th of last year. And the low reading was on December the 28th at 1861.75. So the high last year was 1885, and here we are yesterday at 1898. So that's where we're at. So far this year, so I started tracking the methane on NOAA March the 1st of 2019, and the change from March the 1st, or it was February 29th of this year, until the 31st, December 31st, was an increase of 22.25 parts per billion. Since March the 1st of 2019, we've seen an increase to 41.5 parts per billion. Now here we can see what methane did this week. And I report on this daily for my Subscribe-Star members. And so let's go back. So here we were on last Saturday, the 24th of 1902. Now it had peaked on Friday at 1904.25, and so then it started going down. So it went down, in one day it went down 1.5, but we only showed an increase of 2 parts per billion last week because it went down that one day so much. But anyway, here's where we were last Saturday, and then on Sunday it went down another 1.5. On Monday there was no change. On Tuesday it went down 0.25. Wednesday it went up 0.75. Thursday down 0.5. Friday down 1.25. And Saturday down 1.25. So it looks like we're going to be headed down now through November and December. So we'll keep an eye on this, and I'll keep reporting on this. I think it's important for us to have a historical record. I don't know of anyone else tracking this on a daily basis and reporting on it, but this is why I started doing it. And so here's the line going down now. And here's where we started out on March the 1st of 2019, so we can see what it's doing. So let's move over to CAMS. This is the Copernicus Atmosphere Monitoring Services website. This is out of the EU. And I have Saturday the 31st ready, the Arctic view and surface level pulled up. And here's our color ledger at the bottom. And so here's where we left off on Friday. And we can see most of the Arctic is covered in green, and most of the northern hemisphere we had seen a wave of green just cover the whole western side of the United States. We saw that earlier this week, but that's kind of cleared out and back to blue now. And just for an idea on these colors, like this dark green that's over Greenland here is 1920 parts per billion. Then as you get lighter in the colors, it goes up, and this yellow green, like this color, wait, it's a lighter, that yellow green is 2000 parts per billion. And and then you get into yellow and orange and red. This bright red is 2100, and this reddish brown, sometimes I call it black because it just looks so concentrated, is a range between 2160 to 10,000 parts per billion. So let's run this, and I will discuss it as it goes. So the data is for Saturday, and the forecast runs Sunday through Wednesday. So, we're seeing some more come up, just not that much up here in the Scandinavian areas. It's kind of calming down. It had been awful earlier, but it's kind of calming down. We're seeing, look at this wave of green move down through Russia, and then higher readings move out through that. We see these waves just move out. Here we're seeing a higher reading in the Kara Sea. Now this is Severnae Zemlya, this group of islands, and we're seeing high readings. It keeps bubbling up here and in this North Kara Sea here, but this has been bubbling up since January. It's almost constant since January. We're also seeing a high reading come back here on the north coast of Alaska. This is near Koktovik, and it's calming down on the interior of Alaska. It had been much higher earlier in the summer, but Alaska has a lot of permafrost, as does a lot of these, like Canada and a lot of Russia in these Arctic regions. And as things get warmer, the permafrost melts, and then the methane is released out of the ground. That's what we're seeing from these high readings here. And we're also seeing these waves of lighter green move across the Arctic. This is methane coming up through the sea ice, or out of the ocean or the water, out of the sediments. And the East Siberian Arctic shelf is right along this Siberian coastline. And that was back in the news this week about, they're finally admitting, mainstream news is kind of finally admitting that we're seeing high methane release, and it's breaking down on the sediments, breaking down in these sea floors. And we already know that. That's already been reported by Natalia Shikova, and it hasn't stopped. It's getting worse. We've had so much warming of the oceans up here because it's been ice-free around this Russia coastline for months, and we had such low ice, Arctic sea ice this year, and it's at record low now for this time of year. We did not see a blue ocean event, they say, because anyway, it was next to the least. I'm thinking we're seeing the effects of a blue ocean event, and the refreeze is not happening traditionally the way it would. Now we'll look at the North Pole view. And so the fact that it's not refreezing the way it has in the past, we've got huge problems. And we've got warmer air set up over the Arctic, and we can look at the 2-meter temperature anomaly on Climate Reanalyzer, and you'll see lots of reds hanging out over the Arctic, which is like 20 C higher than normal. That's set up for the next at least 10 days, and it's been like that for at least a month now. So everything's breaking down, and it's breaking down all at once, and society's breaking down, politics are breaking down, the food chain is breaking down, the trees are leaving, the animals are dying, and if we were spiritually mature, we would be loving and caring for one another instead of trying to kill each other in the end. So I'm pretty ashamed of the human race right now. I think that it's just, it's just really a shame to see the way people are acting, and see the dark mind controlling people and taking over. And I've never felt like this was my home. I've always felt like I was just kind of visiting here, and I never understood war and killing or anything like that. And it's like the whole world is based on those demonic systems. So, and that's what we're born into, with the money and everything, and the nuclear power, nuclear weapons, nuclear everything, and that kills the planet. And I just think that the least we could do is grow up a little spiritually and ask for forgiveness for what we've done to the planet and to each other, and just stop. If we would just all stop and just say, okay, we know it's the end. What can we do to ease each other's pain and suffering as we go out? Stop all the wars, stop all the killing, and let's grow up. What would Jesus do? So, I'm just, I'm real sad. Real sad about the way things are turning out. So this is the North Pole view. We can see India covered up in this dark brown, and it's streaming out over the ocean. Oh, this is coming up out of the ocean, the Bengal Bay, and then the Arabian Sea. Here's China filling up, and it's spilling out over the ocean too. Look at these waves of green move out. Here is the Persian Gulf. Europe is kind of filling back up. Here's North America. Now let's look at the North America view. Oh, and it was funny, kind of, when I was still doing readings and healings on people, and I'd started looking into abrupt climate change, and the clients didn't want to hear about it. They just wanted, it was all about, what can I do to fix them? And I just got tired of it. They didn't want to hear about what was going to happen, and I lost clients because of it. And but there were still people who wanted me to work with them and stuff, but I stopped. It was just too much, and most people had so many demons attached to them. It just got to where it was not safe for me to be working out in the ethers and that. And because to get rid of demons, only Jesus can do that. Really, only Jesus can do that. And if you're not a Christian to begin with, you don't have that belief and not willing to open your heart to it and walk that path, you can't get rid of them. They'll just keep coming back. So that's the way it is, and we're seeing it in spades now. It's manifesting all over the place. But Jesus is the one who can take care of that situation for you. So here's North America. Here's the U.S. Texas is not looking good. Here's West Texas. We've been seeing a lot of earthquakes over here also. And then southern Texas is filling up. Look at that. That's awful. And then this whole eastern seaboard. And then here's California. This is from the fires. And it's just waves and waves and waves. It's coming up. Here's the global view. We're seeing higher readings down here right at the southern tip of South America. Right down here. You can see it streaming off of South America. We're seeing more of the darker blue. This is 1800. That's that blue. This is 1800 parts per billion. So we're seeing that coming back further south. So that's an indication that overall the methane levels are going down. But we're still in no man's land. It's still higher for this time of year than it's ever been. I mean, we're in so much trouble. It's just... people have no idea how bad it really is. We don't know. We seriously don't know how bad it really is. All we know is what is available to us publicly. Here's 500 HPA, so this is about the same level up in the atmosphere, about halfway up, as the NOAA reading that I showed you. So we're seeing it gathering around the Arctic now. Even though it's decreasing, it's gathering in the Arctic. It likes to gather in the colder regions. The highest reading is right down here in southern Asia. Here's total column. I'll refresh. You have to refresh after you change levels to get the right color ledger. There's the color ledger. So here the top range is between 1920 and I think and 2320 parts per billion. So the highest areas are from China down through India here. So let's move on with our pictures. Here's 2-meter temperature anomaly for today. This is from Climate Reanalyzer. The Arctic is up 4.1 C higher than normal. The northern hemisphere is up 1.2 C, and the world is up 0.5 C. So here it is, this red and reddish brown area over this this Chukchi Sea and coming all around on this Russia coastline. And then we've got a lot of blues, which is colder than normal here in Canada, and coming down this eastern part of North America, and then browns on the western side. This is ozone. This is the ozone hole over the Antarctic today. Now this is shrinking a tiny bit, but it's still covering all of the land mass. And the black area, that's between 100 to 125 Dobson units. And everything within this black line is in the danger zone. So they say it's shrinking. I don't know. It's hard to say. But the sun is up in the Antarctic, and so with the ozone so thin down there, it's letting in all kinds of heat and radiation. So the glaciers will be melting. The ice will be melting very quickly with this so thin. The longer it stays like that, the worse it is. Here's the Arctic view of the ozone. We can see it's thin from the North Pole over to Svalbard and northern Greenland. We've got some yellows and reds coming back, which is thicker, but look at the green and the blue-green now over. This is North America. This is California and coming up through Canada. And then over here in Russia, going down into Kazakhstan, and further down it's going down into the aqua, which is thin too. So from the greens, the green is thin, under normal. The solid yellow is 300 Dobson units, and that's considered normal or average. So anything less than, like starting with the green and going down to greens and blues, that's less than average or normal. So it's thin. We can see these holes, these patches all over the place. This is from the smoke and pollution and what they're putting in the skies. It's eating everything up. Atomic energy, it keeps the ozone from forming too. It interrupts or disrupts the natural Earth system of making its ozone. Nuclear does that. Here's sulfur dioxide for today. We're seeing a lot of reds here over India, and here in the Middle East, in China, and here Kamchatka. The highest reading is down here in South America. This is near the Sabancaya volcano. That's our highest reading today. Here it is at 500 HPA, and here we can see where it just shot up through the atmosphere. So this is from volcanoes and earthquakes. Here's the East Tropic view of the sulfur dioxide. Most of this is from pollution. Most of this is from overpopulation and pollution. Here it is at 500 HPA. Now this up here is from volcano related. Shivalush, and there's some other volcanoes up there at Kamchatka. Not sure what this is from here. And this is Russia, just across the China border. Here's the Pacific view, so if you can imagine the ring of fire, like the earthquake map, the tectonic plate lines, we can see that's where the sulfur dioxide's coming up around that ring of fire. And here's Hawaii, where it's streaming up. This is from Popocatépetl in Mexico. Here it is, 500 HPA. So here's Popo, where it's shooting up. This is from Hawaii, from the volcanoes. This, it looks like it's from Alaska, and this is kind of common because of so many earthquakes and volcanoes there. And this is Kamchatka, Russia, with the volcanic activity there. And then down here in South America we have volcanoes all coming down here, and it's very seismically active. Those are all of those pictures. Now we're going to look at some earthquakes. Here, I took these pictures this morning. There were 224 on USGS for the last 24 hours. These are all magnitudes. So we're seeing some pretty good, these are 5s. These big dots are 5s. Then these other dots are 4s. Now the 7.0 was happened off the coast of Greece and Turkey, right over here in the Mediterranean, and they're still having aftershocks. There was one up here, I think there's a 4.6 in the Bering Strait, so that was an Arctic earthquake. Here in the lower 48, we're showing 131 today. Southern California is showing 34. This is LA, San Diego region. Here's the Searles Valley Ridgecrest area. We're seeing 32, with the largest one being 2.8 down here, kind of spread out to the west. This is at Tehachapi. Quite shallow, 3 kilometers deep. Here in western Nevada, we're seeing 33 up to Carson City. This is the Dayton area. This is Northern California, including the geysers. Now the geysers have been really slow this week. For a day or so there was nothing. I don't know what that was from. But we're only seeing 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, including the geysers. So I don't know what's going on with that. We've got a couple over here by Lake Almanor. This is a man-made reservoir, so I'm always nervous when I see earthquakes around a reservoir. And there's a dam right down here, and there was a 1.4 earthquake right next to it at Canyon Dam. 2.2 Redwood Valley, 2.0 Willows, 2.1 Geysers, 0.9 Hidden Valley Lake, and 1.0 Chester, which was right up here by Lake, right there by Lake Almanor too. This is the Pacific Northwest over to Yellowstone. I think this is 1, 2, 3, 4, 7 here today. The largest, we're seeing a 2.6 at Stanley, Idaho, and a 2.6 up here at Lincoln, Montana. West Texas has 3 here. 1 at Mentone, 3.1 at Toya, 2.7, they're calling it at White City, New Mexico. That's the reporting station, but it's really down here in West Texas, and a 2.8 at Mentone. That's where this is where we're seeing the huge releases of methane. Oklahoma's seeing 9. They were stacked up here at Waynoka. The largest one was a 2.5 at Waynoka, and the depth was 2.4 kilometers, so that's pretty shallow. Here we had a 2.6 at Triana, Alabama. This came in last night at 7:28 p.m. And a minus 0.5 at Sparta, North Carolina. Another microquake there. That's still going. Here in Central America, we have 5.2 on land at Costa Rica. This is 5 kilometers north of Angeles, Costa Rica. This came in last night at 10:01 p.m. and a 4.4 off the coast of South America near Guatemala, La Esperanza. South America is showing 4.5 at Bolivia, 4.6 Chile, 4.3 Chile, and 4.0 Chile. Here in the South Atlantic, we've got a 5.1 at the South Sandwich Islands region, right on that red line, and then 2 in the South Shetland Islands. This is just next to this western peninsula of the Antarctic, right next to that on the red line, 4.8 and 4.7 there. That's been rocking this week. Puerto Rico showing 13, with the largest one being this 3.4 in the ocean there. Here's Alaska showing 37. That's kind of a low number. Normally we see between 50 and 100 in a day. The largest one was this 4.6 in the Bering Strait near Wales, Alaska, but it was in the ocean between Alaska and Russia there. This came in at 3:44 this morning. Hawaii showing 21 today, and they're clustering. This is at Kilauea and Pahala, and then one up here at Mauna Loa. These are in the 2s and under range. Here we have kind of a variation. They all fit on the map here. There were 7 here today. I'm calling this the East Tropic view. We have a 4.5 Papua New Guinea, 4.6 Carlsberg Ridge, 5.7 Babar, Indonesia, right down here, 4.8 Bengkulu, Indonesia, 4.6 Nago, Japan, and 4.5 Kroya, Indonesia. And this was, it looks like this was a 4.3. This was Kyrgyzstan. Kadzhistan, Kyrgyzstan. And here's the Mediterranean view. We've got a 4.6 at Croatia here, and then we've got all these aftershocks off the coast of Greece and Turkey, 4.0, 4.2, 4.2, and 4.4. That's all the earthquakes. Now let's get into sea ice. This is sea ice and snow cover from Climate Reanalyzer for today. We're seeing the edge of the sea ice inching back. We see that it's reached the coast of Alaska and northern Canada. These tributaries are filling in on this Canadian archipelago. It's starting to fill in a little bit at the top of the Baffin Bay, and it's coming back around the coastlines of Russia barely, and it's come back around Severnaya Zemlya. It's inching out to Franz Josef Land. It hasn't quite reached Svalbard yet, and it's inching out by Greenland. So let's see what the sea ice has done this week. Now, Climate Reanalyzer, they had some problems with their data for a couple of days, and there were problems with satellites and stuff, so there was not data for Sunday and Monday. So here it was on Tuesday, the 27th. Here's what it looked like. Here's the Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. You can see it inching back, and you can see the snow, the white on the land where it's snowing. Here's Saturday and Sunday. So it's just starting really to inch out. Here's the sea ice thickness for the Arctic for today. This is the Navy model, U.S. Navy. And so here's the Russia coastline up here. We can see the purple where it's coming back, just barely, just very thin, but it is starting to refreeze. And the problem has been the sea surface. The temperature of the water has been too warm for it to refreeze, and as the sun is going down, the water is cooling down slowly, but it takes time for it to cool down. And see, here it's inching back to Franz Josef Land. Here it's around Severnaya Zemlya. It's almost back to Svalbard here. It's inching out. It's had some problems here in the Fram Strait this week. Here north of Greenland, it's coming back with this blue-green ribbon, meaning it's about 2 meters thick here. The dark purple is about 1 meter thick. The blue is about 1.25 meters thick. The aqua is about 2 meters thick. The dark aqua is about 1.5 meters thick. So this is what was left of the thicker sea ice, or the thickest sea ice. And it's been, I'm hoping it anchors in on this little part of the archipelago. We're seeing some aqua come back along the coastline here and in the little tributary, a little bit of red here, and but we've got a crack here, and the drift, the ice drift, has been pulling, kind of squeezing this little end down and pulling it down, and it's been pulling down and breaking off and disintegrating down here in the Beaufort. This is the gyre in the Beaufort Sea. So that's what I'm going to be watching, and I'm going to watch it all winter. I'm not stopping. We're going to be watching this all winter long so that we can see what's happened. Now, they have not updated their 30-day model. It only goes to the 1st, which is tomorrow. I think after we reached minimum, they kind of said we're not going to keep updating this every day. But see, you can see this movement. You can see how it's scooting down and being squished down. And I've started studying the ice drift, and see this piece that broke off? See, that's disintegrating. But we are starting to see it thicken up here. Just now. And like I said, it takes time. But we've got that warmer air set up over the Arctic, and that's not helping matters either. So here's the last day of the model. So here it is for the 1st. So let's go back and see where we've been this week. So, but see, they cheated because that's the 18th. They left out some days. So let's go. See, they went from the 23rd, see, to the 26th. Then from the 26th to the 30th. So they kind of cheated. They didn't update it every day on this model, but they did update it on the single picture. Guess I could have pulled those and done my own slideshow, but I didn't. So here it is for the 30th. There's the 26th. So look at the big shift from the 26th to the 30th, 31st. And here it is today. I mean tomorrow. So it's a little bit thinner right here. But we're still looking at quite thin in quadrants 1 and 2, and it's starting to thicken up a little bit in quadrant 3 with some blue, and then this is what's left of the thickest sea ice in quadrant 4. This is also from the Navy. This is the Beaufort Sea View. This is the model, and this is for today. Okay, today's the 1st. I was incorrect on that last model. I was like, that's tomorrow. It's like, no, that's today. Okay, never mind. So, this is the Beaufort Sea. Here's Alaska, Canada, here's the Gyre, here's the Bering Strait, and here are the little islands where it's anchoring in around here. Here's what's left of the thickest sea ice, and this is the crack, and these are just different thicknesses because it's what's left of multi-year ice, and so it's different thicknesses. And over here we see it more uniform because it just refroze, so it's more uniform and more consistent. So see, it's coming back a little bit here, going more aqua and blue edges, but this is kind of disintegrating, but we're getting a little more blue here instead of just purple. So it's slow, but it's doing the best it can. And here's this little tiny bit of reddish orange, which is about 4.25 meters thick. Just this one little tiny bit. Here's the 30-day animation, and one of those pictures in there is bad. I don't know why they put it in there. Uh-oh. I've got to start this again. I'm going to try and catch it. Okay, it's only got 29 pictures, and that goes to the 7th, and that one is no good. So it forecasts out to the 6th, so we can at least see that far. So we're starting to see some aqua pop up here on the Alaska and Canadian coastlines, so that's a little thicker. And so here's the 6th. Let's just go back. So here we are today. So let's see what it's going to do. Some days there's not much movement. That depends on the ocean currents and the wind. Uh-oh, I forgot about that one. So look at this one where this crack is, and then from the 5th to the 6th it kind of pushes in and closes up that crack. But this hole is still here, or this thinner part, and these cracks are still here. Now this is ice drift. This is also from the Navy view. This is the Beaufort Sea. This is measured in centimeters per second. Thanks to Larry for helping to clarify that. So the scale is down here. This dark aqua is 0. Here's 5. So it's not divided up equally here. So here's 10, 15, 20, 25, and 30. So down here, so from the dark aqua to the kind of that aqua, it's not very fast. It's 0 to 5 centimeters per second. And then it goes lighter, it goes faster, and then yellow, orange, red, and dark red. So today it's not moving very fast. Just in this little bay here, it's moving fast right down there, going out, and then the direction, they show the direction of the arrows. The arrows show what direction the ice is moving in. So here's 30 day. I know it's kind of, oh, that last one is messed up again. So it's kind of like a kaleidoscope. But if you go slow, if you load it, I download it into Honeyview and then I look at it. So here's what it's going to do this week. Here we are today. Here's tomorrow. So we see it's going to be fast where it's coming down and around the coastline. See, it's fast down here. And then the third, it's moving back down. So it's moving in different directions, and so it kind of goes back and forth, back and forth. Here's the fourth. So it's going to be fast in this little bay and fast on the Alaska coast. Fifth. Now look at this fast moving coming in. So that might affect that thicker ice, and it'll probably smash it down closer on the little islands there. And see how fast it is here, and now it's going in a circle and then fast down here. So we'll see a lot of movement on the 6th, it looks like, and that could affect that tail. And then the 7th, it's gonna be pulling it back around. So it just keeps moving. It's always in constant motion. So that's one more thing to consider when we're looking at the sea ice and what's up with it. So that's all of those pictures. Now let's move on. Where am I? Here we are. What's this earthquake? 2.6, Torrevieja, Spain. I think I'm going to move on. So let's go. Here's National Snow and Ice Data Center. Here's the sea ice index for today. I have the blue marble view. Actually, it's for yesterday. It's their day behind. And this correlates to what we saw on the Navy website, where it's coming back around the edges and it's inching out. The blue means it's not as concentrated, meaning it's thin and there's space between the pieces of ice. We're looking for white. We want it white. That means it's really concentrated and in there, really refreezing good. Here's the chart for sea ice extent, and this blue line is this year. This dotted line is for 2012. Now 2012 had been the low for all of this, and this is the median. This area is the median. So we're way below. See, we've been below since the end of September, 1st of October. So in the refreeze is just not happening very well. I mean, it's happening, but what this means is it's going to be so much less ice when it comes time to start melting in the spring, if we're still here to see it. That ice is going to go fast. It's just going to go fast. And a lot of things can upset the ice if we have cyclones, if we have storms up there. I mean, a lot of stuff can upset it if we have more rain than snow. Things like that. Here's NASA World View for today. This is the sea ice concentration. Let's turn on the blue marble view. And I'll refresh to get the latest data. So here it is, refreezing. The colors mean that it's in certain states of concentration. The white means it's concentrated. We want white. That means there's not a bunch of room in between the pieces of ice, and it's a good refreeze. So here in this Fram Strait, see, we've had more reds popping up this week. Still red around the North Pole and northeast of the North Pole. This is where it's in the state of refreeze, coming back out. Here it's come back to the coastline of Alaska and Canada, and coming back through all of these tributaries. See, here's the Baffin Bay. It's coming back down. Here's Greenland, and coming back on this east coast. So it's looking better. So let's go back. What was last week? The 25th. We'll see what happened this week. Here we were on the 25th. Here we go. There's the 26th, 7th, 8th, 9th. Now see how this got so red here? I was getting worried. It's the 30th, 31st, and here we are today. So that's what we've got. Now I don't know even know if we'll be able to see anything on the nighttime layer. Let me turn off the sea ice. Nighttime. Now this is where the sun's gone down and we can't see. So it's only good for a certain period of time, and then it gets weird. So here's Greenland. So it's getting dark. We can barely see what's going on up here. So here's this north coast of Greenland. We can see it's trying to come back up to, it's refreezing in between the pieces, but here's some big open leads right there. We can see a lot of cracks still. Here's Ellesmere Island. We can see the ice there. So here's here we go. It's hard to make out. I don't know. Okay. So here's the edge of the coast. So these are the different thicknesses, and we can see some cracks here. I don't know if we're looking through clouds. Probably got some clouds too. So here's Alaska, and so on. That's Alaska there. Here are the cracks. You can see them. Here's the North Pole. So that's what we've got with this view. It's hard to decipher. I'm not real familiar with this layer. Anyway, there's the edge of the ice. So now let's look at Climate Reanalyzer. Got a couple of things to show you over here, and then we'll finish up. So here's our maximum temperatures for today. We see that it is getting colder over the Arctic, but see, this air is warmer than normal. This kind of aqua color, even though it's below freezing, it looks like it's still warmer than normal. It's not that much below freezing. This kind of blue, this blue is 0. That blue is 0. And so this is just not that much colder. Here's 2-meter temperature anomaly. I already showed you that. Here's the flat view. Look at this western peninsula in the Antarctic. That's not good. Let's look at Russia. Let's see. All of that. Precipitation and clouds. Look at this rain moving up. It's snowing here over Russia and a little bit over the Arctic. Let's see. Sea level pressure. Oh, that's a big system. Just a small system there. Jet stream. Look at that. Now this is, look how it's all broken up. This is forming climate chaos. See, this is causing climate chaos. This is what we have as things break down. We saw sea ice and snow cover. Let's look at sea surface temperature. So white is 0, and then when it gets into the purples it's above 0. So that's what we've got all around the sea ice there. Here's sea surface temperature anomaly. This is from Friday. We still got browns and reds here in the Kara Sea and the Barents Sea. Then some browns over here on this Russia side. Now look at the Atlantic. It's got a bunch of reds, and the Pacific is not good. And look down here around Australia and in the Tasman Sea, it's in the browns already. Look at here by Japan. And here in the Pacific. Here's the Black Sea. It's red. The Black Sea is red. So the North Pacific is up 0.8 C higher than normal. The Northern Hemisphere is up 0.7 C. The North Atlantic is up 0.6 C. And the world is up 0.4 C. That's what we've got there. So I'd like to finish up the show today with reading out of the book of Psalms. I finished the prophetic books of the Bible, finished that up this week. And I've already read and recorded half of the book of Psalms, almost a little over half. And that's up on my website, margoshealingcorner.com. I also have my Subscribestar archives up there. If you're not a member on my Subscribestar page, and even if you are a member, if you want to go back and look through the older posts to see, what methane was doing a year ago, you can find it over there on my archives page. And I've been archiving over there. So, anyway, that's kind of the most activity on that website. So I'm continuing reading in the book of Psalms now. Psalms chapter 92. A psalm or song for the Sabbath day. It is a good thing to give thanks unto the Lord, and to sing praises unto thy name, O Most High, to shew forth thy loving kindness in the morning, and thy faithfulness every night. Upon an instrument of 10 strings, and upon the psaltery, upon the harp with a solemn sound. For thou, Lord, hast made me glad through thy work. I will triumph in the works of thy hands. O Lord, how great are thy works, and thy thoughts are very deep. A brutish man knoweth not, neither doth a fool understand this. When the wicked spring as the grass, and when all the workers of iniquity do flourish, it is that they shall be destroyed forever. But thou, Lord, art most high for evermore. For lo, thine enemies, O Lord, for lo, thine enemies shall perish. All the workers of iniquity shall be scattered. But my horn shalt thou exalt like the horn of an unicorn. I shall be anointed with fresh oil. Mine eye also shall see my desire on mine enemies, and mine ears shall hear my desire of the wicked that rise up against me. The righteous shall flourish like the palm tree, he shall grow like a cedar in Lebanon. Those that be planted in the house of the Lord shall flourish in the courts of our God. They shall still bring forth fruit in old age, they shall be fat and flourishing. To shew that the Lord is upright, he is my rock, and there is no unrighteousness in him. Psalms chapter 92. So I'd like to thank you for joining me today, and I'm praying for everybody, and if you haven't given your life to Jesus Christ, I recommend it before it's too late. If you died tonight, do you know where your soul was going to go? Are you ready? Are you ready? So time is short, and I think we need to get our spiritual houses in order ASAP. So I'm praying for everyone, especially for the lost. And until next time, God bless you. I love you all. Go in peace, and I will talk to you soon. Good night.